Hello everyone and welcome back to Through the Pages with Dee. I still haven't got back up to the studio. I know that's incredibly lazy of me, however there is a reason for that which I will explain at the end of the video, so if you want to know the reasons and a little bit of gossip, you're going to have to stick around. So what I'm talking about today is reviewing the book Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. I have really enjoyed that book. It was different than what I thought it was going to be. It turns out that it is kind of a mystery and a little bit sci-fi as well. I don't usually sway to sci-fi books. I don't usually find them something that I'm interested in. I get a little bit discombobulated with the stories of sci-fi. However, saying that, I did really enjoy the artificial structure formerly known as the moon that Ida wrote. I did enjoy that, but the sci-fi element in this book is quite a bit different. It's kind of like a different realm, if we're talking about that kind of sci-fi. It's like you're in a different realm. So the character is Piranesi. That's who you are. That's the first POV of this narration, and you are following Piranesi's journey within this house mansion type abode, and he's going through different halls. It's on 3 levels and there are continuous hallways. He hasn't as yet found an end to a hallway. He keeps searching and he hasn't found one. He's at least travelled through, and I've wrote this down because I found it interesting, 960 halls to the west, 890 halls to the north, and then there's the halls that are in the clouds as well, and the halls that are deep under the dark waters. So it's a fantastic story of Piranesi. But one of the elements that's included in it is, and I wrote this down too, a kind of form of dissociative identity on Piranesi's behalf. So I'm not going to go into too much detail. I mean, I know this book's been around a while, and but I still don't want to spoil it for those who haven't read it as yet. But it's a very interesting tale of Piranesi and the person who is referred to as the other. And we do eventually find out the name of the person who is referred to as the other, which too I'm not going to spoil because it only adds to the story. And this is a very interesting story of how somebody can potentially be put into a space that isn't maybe reality and form themselves a different life and encapsulate that life and the beauty of the surroundings and become one with it. And that's kind of what happens in this story, is Piranesi becomes one with his surroundings and he loves the statues. There are many, many statues within this building, and he has his favourites, which too I have wrote down. So some of Piranesi's favourite statues are the Beehive Lady, a fawn, which is obviously half man, half goat, a gorilla that is squatting, propped up by its fists, so it's doing that kind of stance, the boy playing cymbals, the elephant carrying a castle, 2 kings who are playing chess, and the horned giants, and they look like they're in some kind of struggle. So these are all some of Piranesi's favourite statues, and he goes and he talks and he leaves food and he leaves gifts for these statues, because other than himself and the other, there is nobody else within this manor, or this house. Or is there? What Piranesi starts to find is clues that's making him believe that potentially there could be somebody else within this house. And that's kind of the crux of the story. It's Piranesi on this hunt to find out, is there actually somebody else within this house? So it's a really interesting story of Piranesi's journey. How did he get there? Is he ever going to leave there? Does he want to leave there? What is there outside? It's seeming as though the only things that are outside are the sun, the moon and the stars. But the other seems to come and go. The other doesn't seem to stay. He meets the other on a Tuesday and a Thursday at 10 AM prompt. He has to be there on time. And they have a conversation about what Piranesi has found, his studies. because Piranesi is meant to be studying the statues and studying the hallways to gather the way around this house. But this house doesn't ever seem to end. It seems to have endless hallways. And Piranesi, as I said, hasn't found the end to a hallway, so he's still searching. So he knows this place now, as of where he's travelled, like the back of his hand. But he's still yet to find if there is an end. But there are things along the way that he starts to find, and he's sensing them as clues. So is there somebody in this house? I guess you'd have to read it to find that out. What I would say is that it's a brilliant writing from Susanna Clarke. It's definitely an author that I'm going to check out more work from. I really enjoyed this book. I love a good mystery. So if mystery is put into any context of genre, I'm guaranteed to read it, because mystery is my thing. I love mystery. But yeah, really, really good book. Very, very interesting. I loved the way the surroundings were explained. I loved the pillars and the stairs and the element of the tides with the sea. And that depends on where Piranesi can go within this house. If the tides are at a high level, then he has to stay in his establishment, the little bit that he's made his home. If the tide's lower, he has more of an area that he can explore. He's also found some bodies. He's named the bodies and given them a respectful layout, so to speak, and put them somewhere where some of them are together and some of them are kind of put in a way that Piranesi believes is, like I said, respectful of a way to do it. So yeah, it's a really, really different kind of interesting book. I didn't think that it was going to be like it was. I was very, very pleasantly surprised by what I was reading. Is there really any more that I can tell you than that without spoiling? Let me look at my notes. There's a lot of things that we find out along the way about people. And it takes a very interesting turn towards the end. I had this kind of thought structure as to who Piranesi was, and it seems I was very wrong. So I'm usually quite good at picking up on mysteries, and that's not to be big-headed. That's the material I've read for many, many, many months before starting YouTube. All I read was murder mysteries, crime, that kind of thing. So I got kind of this, and that's all I've ever watched on TV, really. So I've got kind of what I think is like a little kind of niche for mystery, and I like the challenge of working something out. So I actually thought in certain parts of this book I had it sussed, and I really didn't. It does become clear towards the end, but I like the twist that Susanna Clarke has put on the end, that it's not just as simple as, there you go, there's the answer. There's more to it than that. There's more story behind it. And like I said, that kind of element of dissociative identity is put in there. It isn't necessarily exactly what this is. Dissociative identity isn't exactly what this is, but it's the closest thing I could find to represent it. So yeah, it's really interesting. It's a nice little mystery with these elements of kind of, not really magic, but kind of imaginative, the ways that Piranesi sees the statues and how the Piranesi sees the birds, especially the albatross, and he thinks that he's kind of receiving messages from the birds and they're telling him certain ways to go or certain things to do. And then the mystery behind the other, who's the other, what's the deal with him, who is he? Are these things that Piranesi is finding actual evidence of somebody else being within the house, or are they just random things that maybe have been left behind from previous people? Maybe the people who he found the bones of, maybe they've left them behind. So yeah, I'm not going to spoil too much. I really would like to go into it and give more details, but that would be far too spoilery if you haven't read Piranesi. So I definitely give Piranesi a high rating. I'm not going to do the QEP system. I'm just going to say that it's definitely a 4.5 from me. I wouldn't call it a 5, but I would definitely say it's a high 4.5. I really enjoyed it. Thought it was really good. And I will definitely give Susanna Clarke a go as an author in something else. Other than that, channel update, channel news. I thought it might be quite interesting to share the fact that I've recently watched something. Don't really do that, don't really watch a lot of television, but I've been taking a break at weekends from reading. So I've been watching some television, and I recently watched the Netflix film Atlas with Jennifer Lopez. I really enjoyed that. I thought J-Lo's acting was a little bit kind of too cryy. She was maybe a little bit too cryy of a character, but the relationship that she has with what is predominantly the other character, which is an AI, I really enjoyed. And she's dead against AI, dead set against AI, all to do with her mum and history with her mum. And her mum's had some dealings with creating AI intelligence, and it's had it's created some sort of PTSD within J-Lo's character. So she's not a fan of AI, and they're trying to kind of destroy AI and get rid of it because it's now kind of taking over and getting rid of the humans. So she's on this mission to kind of eradicate AI, but she forms a relationship with AI who's called Smith. And I even at one point, and I'm calling J-Lo a softie, I was a softie watching this, I've got to be honest. I actually even felt sorry for the AI, and it's very kind of touching at the end. So yeah, I've watched that, and I'd definitely give that as a recommend for a watch. Thought it was really good. The other one I recently watched, which I really enjoyed, was Bullet Train with Brad Pitt. That is really good. Very kind of action based on a train. Brad Pitt is a very funny character in it. I definitely highly recommend that. There's kind of somewhat of a star cast. I know the lad who played Percy Jackson in Percy Jackson's Lightning Thief is in there. Can't remember the girl's name, but she's been in a couple of different things. But yeah, that's kind of about assassins and how they're all on this kind of mission, and they all end up overlapping the stories with each other. And Brad Pitt is kind of the one in the middle of everything, and it was actually a really good film. I've watched it twice now, to be honest. I watched it this weekend and the weekend before, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. So that's what I've been watching. And then sort of what's coming up on the channel. Today is Monday, so tomorrow I am with my daughter, we think, going to be on the up and coming channel that is soaring beyond, sights, because it's well deserved. They absolutely deserve everything that they are reaping from what they've done. It's a fantastic channel. I love the content. I love the guys. And that is Talking Story. I'm sure you all know this. I'm sure you all already follow Talking Story. I'm sure you're all subscribed. If you're not, please subscribe, because you will be amazed at how funny that pairing of father and son actually is. And that's John, the dad, and Jacob, the son, if you don't know. But I feel like this is kind of silly because you probably do know who they are. But they have very kindly and kind of lowered the standards and decided to invite me onto the channel. I'm quite surprised at that. They keep saying I'm going to bring class. I think I'm probably going to bring the tone down. Me and a Manchester lass and everything. But I'm sure we're going to have a great time. I'm sure we're going to have a laugh. I'm sure John has got some amazing questions for me. My daughter is going to join me, I think. If not, then it will just be this ugly mug on your screens. But I'm sure we'll have fun. So that's tomorrow at 7 p.m. I think Eastern time, and I've shared the link anyway, so you'll see it on my posts. 7 p.m. Eastern time, I think, which is 11 p.m. my time. But hey, it's no bigger. I can be a night owl when I want to, and the longer I stay up, the crazier I get, which John will tell you. Things come out of my mouth that maybe shouldn't. But yeah, so I'm on Talking Story tomorrow. So that should be fun, and I'm extremely privileged and honoured to be invited to that channel. But yeah, that's... Oh, and lastly, I have some other news. So as I said, we've got some buddy reads going on this month. So I've got Blackwater with Eva from She Was Only Eva. I have Finding Me, which is the Viola Davis book. that I'm reading with Pat from Book Chat with Pat. And I also have Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison that I am reading in the new book club that has been formed called Ballads and Bards with Darko and Alicia. Darko from Kindles and Kicks and Alicia from Birdie and the Books. So we have formed a book club, and our first book for this month is Invisible Man. So as and when we'll get round to reviewing that and doing what have you, I'm not sure as yet. Darko's going on holiday, I know, towards the end of June. I was the end of June, but now it's switched to first week of July. So we'll have to have a bit of a conversation and find out. But we have a book club, and potentially, if we enjoy it this month, we will continue and maybe do one a month. We'll have to sort of iron out those kind of details, but we are called Ballads and Bards because, yes, it's a book club, but we all have a great love of music too. So I think we may well potentially have conversations about music, or we may even overlap music to the books. But yes, that's where we're at for today. That's everything I think I've got to tell you. So it's June, and the weather here isn't great. It's changed. It was at weekend, it was lovely, but today it's changed and it's rained a little bit, hence the hoodie back into the kind of warm clothes. But other than that, Piranesi was a great read. I highly recommend it. Look out for tomorrow for me being on Talking Story with John and hopefully Jacob. It'd be very nice to talk to Jacob if he manages to be on there. And yeah, that's me. So yeah, read Piranesi if you've got the time. And other than that, thank you to all the new subscribers that have joined. Welcome to this crazy channel where I just review books mostly. But things are maybe going to change in the future, and I might start talking a little bit more about what I've watched and potentially other things. We'll see. But yeah, Piranesi, great read. Give it a chance. Watch us tomorrow on Talking Story. And that's me for today. So do all the things that you normally do. Do the like, do the subscribe if you will. Only have to press it the once. YouTube does have this thing of having people subscribe and then kicking them off again. I don't know why, but that's what it does. But if it's done that to you, just go ahead and press that button again, and then you'll be back to be notified as and when I post. And thanks for being here. As always, thank you for everything that you do for this channel, as in the likes and the comments. The mental health video got a great acknowledgement, and we really enjoyed doing that with all the other booktubers. My daughter put an awful lot of herself into that editing of that video because it meant a lot to her, and I think it was beautiful. I think she made a beautiful video, and if you haven't seen that, I will put that in the description, or put it at the end for you to be able to give that a watch, because those booktubers shared some stories and they took time out of their days to do that, and it was fantastic just to show their solidarity towards mental health. So yeah, so that's today. Have yourselves a great day, and I will see you guys tomorrow if you're there. Other than that, if you're on this channel, I'll see you Wednesday. Have yourselves a great day. Thanks for being here. Love you as always. Bye bye. See you next time.